All right, everybody, so I'm gonna show you how to peel an apple with a paring knife. And for some of you, this might feel kind of awkward. I just want you to push through that awkward. So usually the way that I start is up at the top by the stem of the apple. You have to hold your knife the right way where you kind of grip the handle of the knife in your hand, and then you are cutting toward your thumb like this. Everybody kind of finds their own way that feels the most comfortable to them. I've seen people who kind of wrap their finger up toward the top and kind of peel this way. That doesn't feel comfortable to me. So I wrap my hands around the handle of the knife, and then I just put my thumb out in front and cut toward my thumb. Your goal here is to try to get as little apple flesh with the skin as possible. You want to try and peel it as thin as you can. And you just keep going until you get most of that skin off of the apple. Now from here, we've got a couple of choices. If you're feeling really comfortable holding the paring knife in your hand, I don't even put this down and switch knives. I will cut toward my thumb like this, kind of going around the core in a circular pattern, leaving that core behind, but cutting off all of the flesh of the apple, so you get your core left behind. And then with this, then depending on what you're making, if you're making apple pie, you could cut these into small slices. If you're doing applesauce, typically the thinner the better. The thinner they are, the quicker they'll cook. So you could do this sort of a thing, or you could switch to your chef's knife, which I prefer. I feel like the chef's knife is much more comfortable, and you could slice like that. If you needed chunks, you could cut this into pieces this way and then chunk it up like that. Same thing on this one. You can cut into chunks if you need to. Now, another way to do this, I'll kind of demonstrate again just to show you. Another way to do this, once I get this apple peeled, instead of cutting with the paring knife to take the flesh off of the core, if you're not feeling very comfortable using the paring knife in your hand, you can switch to your chef's knife, and we do what we call cutting with a tic-tac-toe pattern over the top of the core. So if we look at this, you can see the core. We're going to do a tic-tac-toe pattern over the top of the core to leave the core behind. So I'm going to cut where I think the core would be. I like to put the flat side of the apple down because you get a lot more stability that way. Cut your other piece and then just keep flipping until you've gone all the way around 4 times. And then from there, you can slice your pieces, or you could chunk your pieces. Sometimes, if you don't go close enough, you can kind of come back onto this with your paring knife and cut some of these chunks of apple out of here so we're not being wasteful and wasting a bunch of apple. And then a couple of other things that I want to talk with you just a little bit about is holding your knife, especially your chef's knife, with a pinch grip. So I kind of put my index finger above the handle of the knife on the blade. My thumb goes in front. And then that's how I'm holding the knife. Also making sure that your fingers are kind of curled back so that you are not going to cut off the tips of your fingers. This is that bear claw that we talked about. So between the pinch grip, holding your knife, and kind of a bear claw, that would be a couple of things that I wanted to make sure that you know about peeling and cutting apples off the core.